Okay, hey guys. So I wanted to jump on here. I'm actually recording the podcast today and videoing this I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. Wait, let's see. I'm not on Facebook and live. It's funny because today this podcast is called Start Before You're Ready, and I clearly started this video before I was ready. So hold on, and we're gonna get started here in just a second. Okay, great. So, hey everybody, hey Norbert, hey Rich, hey everybody that's on. I am filming the podcast and I'm live on Facebook and I'm live on here to talk about the announcement that I made earlier today, which is that I quit my corporate job and I've started a business. And so there's been a lot going on and I kind of wanted to just give everybody the backstory. I've already gotten a ton of messages about what I've been doing and, congratulating me, which I really appreciate so much. But really, this kind of has been, multiple months in the works. I've talked about this sort of on other videos and in other posts that I've been on just this personal journey of figuring out, getting to know myself more, understanding what it is that I truly want and what I need in not just a career, but how do I create the life that I really want? And I'm 28 years old. I have a ton of friends that are, in the same situation, and what I went through was called like a quarter life crisis, because I had found myself in a incredible opportunity at work. I had a great company that I was working for. I was making 6 figures, doing very well, owned a house, and it seemed like I was really checking all the boxes in terms of what I perceived to be what I needed to do to be successful, quote unquote. And I had just grown up with this mentality that basically if I did see things in a certain order, if I accomplished certain things, then I was going to have a happy and fulfilled life. And I realized pretty quickly after some major things happened in my life that I wasn't fulfilled. I had the job, I had the house, I had the relationship, but none of that fulfilled me deep inside. And so I was really then set on this journey of figuring out, okay, who am I? What do I really want? What do I really need? And I talk to people all the time that say, I don't know what I want to do. And I really think now that I've been through this, it is a byproduct of not really knowing who you are. And I say that lovingly. Sorry, my dog is just everywhere. I say that lovingly because I was in that place where I tried a lot of things. I've been an overachiever my entire life. And I've been really proud about that. At times, I climbed the corporate ladder. I was getting promotion after promotion. But all of the newness of that accomplishment would eventually wear off. So I would get the promotion, or I would buy the house, or I would buy the furniture, whatever it is, and the newness always wears off. And so millennials were the worst about wanting the next thing so quickly, and we're never satisfied. We want to have it all. And I think that's an amazing quality, and it's also to our detriment, because at least I started to wonder if something was wrong with me. I was like, why can't I just be happy? And I started to feel really guilty because I thought, how can I not be happy? There's so many people that would die to be in my position, would love to have the opportunities I've had. I'm extremely privileged and blessed, and I'm still empty inside. And so over the last few months, 6 months or so, I've really been going and figuring that out. And a lot of it really looked like getting to know myself, and figuring out, who am I? Because I started to think, okay, if you strip away the things that we hold so closely as our identity, so you're a mom, you strip that away. If you strip away your identity as whatever your occupation is, you strip away you're an athlete or you're a caregiver, a business owner. If you take that away, who are you? And somebody asked me that, and I didn't know who I was, really. And I didn't really know what to say. I just knew I cared a lot about people. I want to make an impact and a difference in the world. I knew that I built relationships really well, and that I could get, I'd like to really understand what the why behind what people do, but I didn't know how to, what about that made that a career. I didn't know how to make that a career. Ultimately, I started doing a ton of research and realized I was in a performance management position. I trained sales reps all over the globe, and also was over performance. And I was getting into performance management at the mid-years, and I was doing all this research and realized how many people are totally disengaged in their work. 33% of the US working population actually is considered engaged in work. Great, thanks. That was my dog. And so I realized that was me. I was one of those people, and I had to do something about it. I'm somebody that likes to come from a place of authenticity and integrity, and it was clear that I had to figure out either, one, how I could become more engaged in my job, and deal with whatever it was on the inside, or I needed to kind of redirect my path. And I think there's so much judgment that we put on ourselves. I know I put a ton of pressure on myself to do it all, and to really feel like I was upset because I felt like I should be further along by now. And I don't know if any of you can relate to that feeling, but it felt like, after college and you get into the real world, that's when all of the dreams that you've thought about come up against reality, and you kind of, for me, realize there isn't a perfect job or there isn't a perfect relationship. And I've heard people say this is the time that you get jaded. For me, I kind of got tired of the ups and downs of the emotional roller coaster of, I'm gonna really be committed and enthusiastic about this job, and then the newness wore off, and or the corporate culture set in, or whatever the situation was, and then I wasn't motivated. And being somebody that really wants to stay authentic in what I do, especially if you're in sales, you really have to believe in what you're doing, and you have to believe in your message, and people can smell out bullshit. So I was like, okay, I've got to get this figured out. So it really started with understanding, getting down to the point where I literally listed out the things that I liked, I didn't like, the things that I was good at, things people told me I was good at. Because there's a concept that if you put 10,000 hours, you can pick anything you want to do. Just pick something off a list, and if you put 10,000 hours into it, you're going to be amazing at it. But that's not really an effective strategy if, one, you're not considering your abilities, but also your interests. So, because I know folks that, when you go to college, you're forced to pick a degree and you're forced to pick a path. And I was never somebody that knew what my path was. I was always searching for it, and I didn't know how I was going to find it. I was so jealous and envious of the people that just grew up knowing from day one, right out of the womb, like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to sing. And I was always so impressed by the people that actually took a leap and chased their dream, even if it was kind of crazy. Like, I remember seeing a friend of mine in college. He was like a football player, And then all of a sudden, he decided he wanted to try and be an actor, moved to LA off a whim. And I just thought, man, if I only had the courage and the guts to try that, I wouldn't even let myself go there in my mind and actually dream about what I would do if I could, because I played it so freaking safe. I was told, get a job with benefits, get a job with health insurance, make sure you're making X amount of money. Once you get a promotion, keep living like you were just making that other amount so that you don't get into debt, stay out of debt, don't get credit cards, all of those things. And a lot of what I needed to know in the real world, I wasn't taught in college. So I figured a lot of it out in trial and error. And ultimately, for me, finding my path was a lot of trying things, failing, trying things, succeeding. But I think like a really good rule of thumb now that I use is, if you're in a position, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, it doesn't matter. Is it working and are you happy? So those are my two things. So for me, when I was in my job, is it working? Yes. Am I happy? No. Or is it working? No, and I'm not happy. Why am I doing it completely? That's always one that I have to ask. If I'm happy and it's not working, that's okay. I can still do that thing because ultimately it makes me happy. And so I kind of use that when I'm considering making a decision or questioning if something's right. But I talked about the retreat that I went on. I started getting really, really curious about psychology and neuroscience and all of these things. That is what I found in my spare time, or even when I was at work. My mind would go to this other place, and that's how I wanted to spend my day. And so I would encourage you to think about, if you're at work or you're in a relationship or whatever it is, think about what you think about. Where does your mind go? What if you had all the time in the world, no pressure, how would you spend your time? And what makes me tick is understanding why people do what they do, why people are the way they are. That's why I'm really into psychology, spiritual psychology, neuroscience, how we can affect and create our lives through our thoughts and just ownership and taking that messy action, which is now what I'm doing. But it really came down to, once I fully accepted myself and realized that following my truth and speaking my truth was more than likely not going to be what I signed up for. Not going to be the practical road of the safety net that I had been used to. It wasn't going to be necessarily financially beneficial at times. It's going to be freaking risky. It's going to take a lot of guts and belief in myself. And the majority of my life, I did not believe in my own intuition. I looked for external people, circumstances, everything outside of me to tell me what I was supposed to do, who I was supposed to be. And then it was when I realized, this is my life. No one has to live it but me. Why am I making so many decisions for everybody else? That I gave myself permission to actually figure out what I wanted to do, and the permission to actually go do that thing. No matter who it was going to disappoint, no matter what people thought, what people said about me, I totally disconnected to that. And that was not easy. I want to please. I want people to like me. I was scared to death to tell my dad that I was leaving my job. But that was my truth. And I knew as soon as I found what I wanted to do, which I want to coach people, I want to help people transform their lives. I want to help you guys figure out your path and your purpose and get your clarity that you're looking for, whether it's in business, in your career, in your relationships. If you're going through this kind of quarter life crisis where your priorities and your values aren't really lining up with what you're currently doing, and you're not sure if you can make a big switch or make a big change, and you've got some hurdles and obstacles in your way, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do with my whole life. I want people to get the freedom that I have found and the confidence to create the life that you want because you deserve it, and no one else can tell you otherwise. And so I've now created a company called Coachable, where that's what I'm going to be totally committed to doing. But, I had to realize that the story that I was telling myself for so many years was just a story. The story was something like, you have to get a job. The more money you make, the more power and successful you'll be, the more valuable you'll be. You need to have insurance. You need to have a 401k. You need to be planning for the future. It doesn't matter if you're miserable at your job, because being an adult is hard, and you don't have to necessarily like what you do. You just have to suck it up and do it. And that's what being an adult is like. That was the story I believed. And when I rewrote the story and I retold myself, no, life is meant to be abundant. It's meant to be exciting. It's meant to be spontaneous. It's not meant to be mundane or predictable or exhausting. I started to question, why am I allowing myself to feel this way all the time? It's within my power and my control to do whatever it is I do. If I choose to go to work every day, that's because I chose it. No one's forcing me to. And I also have the choice to change it. And I stopped giving my power away. So it's just been a crazy journey. I'm really, really excited about where it's headed. I would just encourage you, because I know there are a ton of you out there that are in the midst of feeling like, you might be in a job and you're not totally satisfied. It could be better, but you're not miserable. Then there's a lot of you out there that are totally miserable, totally disengaged, and feel like your job is sucking the life out of you. That's been me in the past. And you'll find yourself in toxic work environments. You'll find yourself not speaking your truth, not standing up for yourself because you're afraid of what's going to happen. You're afraid to ask for a promotion or a raise because you don't want to rock the boat. All of those things are disempowering, and you deserve so much more. And there's so much freedom when you get clear about why is it that you do what you do. What have you believed that made you feel like this was the job that you had to be in, otherwise you weren't on the right path? And for me, it was the clarity and the purpose that I had been searching for my whole life. Literally, the clarity and the purpose and the confidence came when I accepted myself. And when I said, I'm okay with being exactly how I am, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And the funny thing is, the moment that I did that, other people have been like, oh my gosh, you're glowing. You feel like you've got, you're so clear-minded, and you just feel like you're less stressed and you're less, anxious. And it was true. I had been so freaking bogged down with stress and anxiety for so long. That was my normal, and it doesn't have to be. And again, it is a scary, scary leap. I started to feel like, I knew that my path was headed in a different direction. It was like I had finally found the answer that I had been searching for my whole life. And when you do that, you want to start immediately. But it didn't make practical sense to just jump overboard and start a business. Because one, what did I know about starting a business? But here's the thing. If you want to do anything in your life, we live in the age of information. There is absolutely no excuse to say you don't know how. It's not good enough anymore to not just know how. You want to know how to. And I've found if it's all about just being resourceful. It's about asking people, networking, getting online, Googling, doing your research. There is enormous amount of information available to you for free online. And so that's what I did. I started just devouring it in my spare time. And that's when I started this podcast. And that's when, I was doing things at night and creating content and creating courses. And something I'm really excited to bring you guys is the Motivated Mindset Masterclass that I'm going to be doing, where we're going to talk all about this and get really, really clear about what your goals are and what your limiting beliefs are. And that's a whole nother thing that I'm going to be talking to you guys about. But I started to feel out of integrity at my job because I knew once I found my path and my passion, my purpose, I was like, I've got to start immediately. And I was teaching and preaching, have self-respect, follow your intuition, have the mindset of abundance, all of those things, but I wasn't walking in it in this part of my life. And that was really scary to think. I've got to go all in. I've got to walk the talk. And that means I don't know what 10 steps in front of me looks like. I just know what the first step looks like. And that means going all in and stop sitting on the fence and thinking about it. I already knew this is what it wasn't a question with my intuition. It was a fear. It was a fear of letting go of the old story. It was a fear of not having a backup plan. It was a fear of what are people going to think? And the second that I decided to say, screw all of that, I'm going to honor myself and what I want, was the second I got freedom. And I could not be coming to you guys from a more clear place than I've ever been in my entire life, because I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I cannot wait to start serving you guys, coaching with you, sharing all my tools and secrets that help me really get to this place of clarity and purpose. And it's just what is available to all of us is enormous abundance, is enormous freedom. And we do not have to be shackled to our jobs, to relationships we don't want to be in, to a certain amount of money or a lifestyle. None of that should hold you back. And I can help you get where you want to go. So, that's just a little bit about my story. I'm now a business owner. I'm now an online entrepreneur. I'm a speaker. I am a podcast host. And so thank you guys for following this journey. And if you have questions, please let me know. DM me. I want to talk to you. I want to hear about what's going on in your lives, what kind of content you guys want to see, what would be helpful. What are the things that keep you guys up at night? Is it stress and anxiety about work? Is it stress and anxiety about your relationships? Is it being stressed about financial debt or finding clarity? What is it that you really would love to get some clarity in your arms around and feel like it's on the right track and you're on the right path? Let me know. So thank you, everybody. We will talk soon. You're welcome.